What's up, everybody? Today's video is going to be somewhat salty, somewhat optimistic, because I do think there's some changes that we can make for this issue that would make this issue just straight up go away. And we were talking about the Knowhere team and how they're just simply not performing the way that was advertised by me, right? Like when I played on the playtest, we showed a very small team taking a very big team effortlessly, and it worked 10 out of 10 times. That does not seem to have translated to the live server. There's a lot going on that I think is the culprit. We're going to talk about all that. And then we're going to talk about some suggestions to fix the issue, because I do think this issue needs to be fixed for the integrity of not just the Envoy program, but of the players' faith that they're actually going to be making and selling the proper solutions to the problems that they make. I know we joke at them, but it's what they do. It's what the game is. So at least do it right, right? All right, so here we are, and this was from a live war that happened just yesterday. This is my Knowhere team against a Gamma team. This is in live war. The buffs are active. Giant punch up. Look, 800k punch up. Here's the problem. Everyone's Knowhere team is going to be smaller. Everyone's Gamma team is going to be giant. Why is everyone's Gamma team going to be giant? Well, because you made Gamma needed for Apocalypse. Everyone is going to have a Gear Tier 17 Gamma team with ISO 5 on it. So they're all going to be around 2 million. That means their baseline level 90. Of course, you're going to put the T4s on them. You might as well bring them to 95 at that point, because they're great in Crucible. You're going to use Red Hulk in Arena, at least for now. And obviously, they're great in War, as we're about to find out. So they're like all going to be 2 million because of the new War Rooms, the new War changes, which we'll talk about. But I want to focus on Gamma for now. So with everyone having a giant Gamma, you can expect to be doing punch-ups. This isn't always an impossibility, because if you think about the Underworld precedent, okay? When Underworld came in, there was so much that went into that team that took out one of the biggest war headaches we ever had, which was Darkhold. So the Underworld precedent, let's talk about that. 4 old characters, 1 new character. That character they ended up rolling out basically for free to everybody who logged into the web store. That team was able to do 800, 900k punch-ups, even in the new war changes, okay? Everyone had super high reds and yellow stars on the Underworld characters because they were old characters. They were useless. Like it or not, the red star system favors useless characters. I know that's conspiracy theory. Sue me, I'm rolling with it, all right? So the Underworld precedent, 4 old, 1 new, absolutely demolishing the Apex War Defense team at the time, Darkhold. And then Gamma comes around. They have their life. They're super good. Everyone has to 2-tap. You start throwing in Archangel. We have to find different solutions to 2-tap. Start throwing in Apocalypse. Again, it gets more and more difficult, right? Apocalypse goes on to Darkhold, and all of a sudden Underworld doesn't work there. The Apocalypse thing, that's kind of fair, right? So if you're throwing an Apocalypse on a team, especially a big boy Apocalypse, it's fair to assume that that team should just straight up win, even against Knowhere. I'll give you that. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about full Gamma.
As Gamma is the current Apex War team, and this new Apex War team is coming to show them what's what.
Knowhere is a different team. Knowhere is 5 new characters, one of them being a legendary. All right. So we're all starting from scratch with 5 new characters. We have to get red stars on these 5 characters. The legendary character completely botched on release. Okay. I know people that are hardcore Scourge fans, and they didn't even do it because the issue that happened at the beginning, they didn't check in, they were out on vacation, whatever the case may be, and they just didn't do the second iteration, which had the leaderboard on it. So they all have like a 4 yellow star Nova, or whatever that was that you got from the first release, which is a huge issue. All right. So we have to restart on a full 5-man team, and it's not working on nearly the same kind of punch-ups that Underworld did against Darkhold. And obviously they're being skimpy on the Knowhere shards because that's needed for the next legendary. So it kind of is a compounding issue. Then there's the war changes. So The war changes heavily favor defense. The reason they're doing this, I can almost bet my house on it, is because they want you to get more losses on kind of the B tier teams, because they want you to still have to buy those war refreshes from the Blitz store, and they still want you to have to refresh that store with your cores, because that is a way to drain cores or make money. Because even though we get the 10 attacks right away, we should be able to clear the helicarrier right away. They almost don't want that, right? They want you to have to use your cores to get those extra attacks in. Having defense just be more prominent than offense is a way to do that. And I think that the Knowhere team was designed with the old rules in mind. I really do. That extra 10% primary stats that just Knowhere gets on offense for being war ready, it's not enough to overdo the changes that happen to favor defense. Now, we've been kind of watching this fight happen, and a couple of RNG moments I do want to isolate. So let's rewind a little bit. That I think we just didn't see it on the playtest, or they did happen on the playtest, but things were just wonky with the way that Red Hulk charges work, with the way the team was functioning. It's all kind of crazy. So Red Hulk right away doing his special, not hitting Nova, is going to make Nova use his second turn before Red Hulk does his second turn. And the way the battlefield effects work is Red Hulk's battlefield effect goes on your side. But when you use Nova's battlefield effect, it destroys Red Hulk's battlefield effect and also puts it on your side. But the inverse is also true. So if you use Nova's battlefield effect before Red Hulk does, he's just going to destroy yours, and then that's obviously not good, right? So without him getting rewound, and with Hulk being in the corner, I think this is important. We're going to see this on the playtest, is Nova is going first, and then you have to stall out when you do your Nova ultimate, getting that battlefield effect. In the meantime, while you're waiting for your Nova's third turn, what can happen is your Nova gets hard targeted, he loses his charges, then he gets a slow or he gets a stun from She-Hulk, whatever the case may be, and then you're just dead. But even before that, as you can see right now, I'm just hemorrhaging my characters. My Cosmo is gone, my Thor is about to be gone, Star-Lord's about to be gone, and I'm going to be in the same position you saw at the end of this fight. And which happened to me twice, by the way, where it's Korg and Nova against 3 people, and Nova simply doesn't have enough juice to get that done. And I don't think he should have to. In the Underworld versus Darkhold matchup, and I know I'm comparing that a lot, your team is at 100% life by the end of it. Until the Apocalypse was added, 100% life. When people started throwing Kestrel into that team, you still left it super healthy. You just had to change your turn order, which is fine. I mean, people find creative things to make defenses harder. We got to find creative solutions to make it work. But this is just a straight RNG shit show. Now, I do think there's ways to fix it, but before we talk about that, I want to go and watch what happened on the playtest and kind of show you why I'm a little salty about this, because they made me look like an absolute fool. So here we are on the playtest. Now I want to show you the team that I was using. Now I was restricted on the amount of resources I had and the team that I was allowed to fight, but I think this is very comparable information. My Star-Lord, my Nova, and my Cosmo here are all gear tier 12. There is a huge stat jump at gear tier 14 and a huge stat jump at gear tier 17, which is what the footage you just saw, all gear tier 17, all level 95. None of these characters, none of these Knowhere characters level 95. To my knowledge. I know Thor and a bunch of them are level 90. The enemy Hulks that they're going to take on are also level 90. But just look at the power. So we're looking at a 700k power. This is clearly under the new power leap, or whatever you want to call it. A 700k team is a very, very small team. They're all at 4 yellow, 4 red, except for Cosmo, who's at 5/5 by accident, and Nova, who does have his 5th yellow, but he only has the 4 red. Now I want to show you the team that they're going to be facing. So they're facing an 1150k Gamma. This is a 450k punch up, so it's not as extraneous as the one we saw, but you would think that as far as scaling goes, the power difference between a 1300 and a 2100 is almost comparable with a 700 and an 11.5. Just by the way scaling works, or at least it has worked in the past. Now, has the new war changes flipped that on its head? Very possible. And if that's the case, the developers need to go and they need to retune the amount of stats that Knowhere has in war. Put a Knowhere tag on it, give them 100% extra life, 50% extra damage, whatever you need to do, because it just doesn't make sense. But let's watch how this plays out, because I don't think I had better RNG on this fight than I did in the one you just saw, which was a loss. And we're going to show good RNG on the next fight, and that's going to kind of help us offer some solutions to the development team. So right away, we still have the issue where Red Hulk goes straight after Star-Lord and after Thor. All right, so we're still having that. Nova should still go after Red Hulk. However, because this Green Hulk is in the middle, I'm not sure how many charges this Red Hulk is taking, because as you're going to see, this Red Hulk is going to go before my Nova, which never happens unless Nova gets rewound by him, which he clearly didn't in this matchup. All right, so here comes the Red Hulk. He's going to go. And now Nova's going to straight up take it away. And then from there, this matchup is super easy. Another thing that's very helpful is for Star-Lord to actually land his blind, which he cannot land on the Red Hulk if he's getting blocked, which is what Red Hulk does when he's full of charges, right? And another thing that's happening is if She-Hulk is getting all her charges up because Thor is dead, which you also saw before, then it's just she's throwing it back at you, so the blind isn't even landing. So it's a whole issue. So this is a clear win. And when I did this on the playtest at this 450k punch up, again, I couldn't choose the ISOs on the enemy team. I couldn't choose any of that. It was just an instant win every time, and it always ended like this. 100% life. I pushed this team. I said, this team is busted. It's awesome. It can beat Gamma at gear tier 12. And then when we get to the live servers and it's just an absolute gong show, I take issue with that. Let's go now and watch a good version of the fight where RNG favors us and things go properly. And from that, I'm going to extrapolate fixes, and Twitch chat help me with this. We're going to extrapolate fixes that you can mechanically add to Knowhere to stop this from happening. Now, will this mean you always win an 800k punch up? No, of course not. Maybe that's not what they want. Maybe that's not what should be the case. That is obviously a giant number, but it should at least shorten that gap where like a 400k punch would be possible. And that would be the precedent set on all past war teams. Dark Hunters beat Heroes for Hire before we did the pre-taunt on 400k punch up. Underworld smashed it. Weapon X destroyed Heroes for Hire before that. Destroyed Infinity Watch, all on like 400 to 500k punch-ups. I think they need to mechanically bring in Knowhere to the same range against Gamma, or even more so, because they did force us to build Gamma for Apocalypse. Anyway, let's go watch that footage now and we'll talk our way through that. All right, so here we go. Now we're doing our 800k punch-up yet again. And just watch how this plays out. And it plays out so differently. So this time, Nova gets targeted by the Red Hulk special. And how can you make sure that happens all the time? So Nova is always ultimating after Red Hulk does his ultimate. Simple, easy fix. In war, Korg spawns with taunt. And then people, this will be the strategic thing. People got to put Nova beside Korg. All right, so it plays into the strategic function of a game like this is supposed to have, as well as kind of shoring up those issues. Another thing that stops is Star-Lord getting rewound, Corgi getting destroyed, and then for Braun to come in and do his ultimate, which is percentile damage, drops them a level of 50% life. She-Hulk puts taunt on them. All the while, Korg does not activate his passive taunt because the percentile damage from Braun, which is 40%, which will basically always push somebody below 50 if Red Hulk hit them with a special, it takes that issue away. All right, so Korg with on spawn taunt, huge thing that should happen. And I don't think it affects literally anything else. So now we're in a much better position, right? And you see right there, that Braun hit the Thor. We are so lucky. Look how close that Thor is to 50% life. If he did get pushed, he would get the taunt, which I think he's going to get. He would get the taunt from She-Hulk, which he does get, and Korg doesn't. So you see, this issue still happened because my Korg didn't spawn with taunt. If he spawned with taunt, that goes away, right? Luckily for us, because we are going to get rid of the Red Hulk battlefield effect, I believe even before Thor goes, we get to save him from his death. And now Korg is taunting because our Star-Lord got pushed, all right? Now, this is another important thing. You see, we landed the blind. This is another thing that should be an automatic thing to happen. Star-Lord special should be unblockable. It should always land on the Red Hulk because that's what you have him there for. You have Thor there to strip the charges from She-Hulk. You have Star-Lord to put the blind on Red Hulk. You have Nova to kill everybody. You have Korg to protect people. You have Corgi there to strip buffs, heal people. That's what this team is supposed to do. The way it is right now with Korg not having the on-spawn taunt and with Star-Lord not being unblockable on a special, there's so much terrible RNG that goes into this, but this is how it plays out well. So you can't really see it, but under chat, that red issue just turned green. That means we flipped that battlefield effect. Thor didn't die this time, and now we're going to be in a good position. And now this is going to actually play out the way it did on the playtest at 800k. This, I don't think was secure. I still think that my Thor could have died there. I still think we could have got stuck behind this Hulk if we didn't have enough damage. And then if we didn't have proper ISOs, then I think we can get stuck here too, right? We don't have proper ISOs, we're not doing enough damage. If we're doing too big a punch up, then this would still fail. I strongly feel that they need to add taunt on spawn to Korg, unblockable to Star-Lord, and then assess from there. Based on past precedent that they've set when selling war offense teams, it needs to work this way. Now let's talk about the slight elephant in the room, and we'll pause it here. We'll just bask in the glory of finally winning, because I did 4 attacks on this team, by the way, in this war. It seems to me, if I was to put my conspiracy theory helmet on again, that the infestation team giving direct callouts to needing Knowhere was put out in a rush so that people would not experience this issue. I don't think that's fair. And I think the infestation team is going to be a good selling team. I think that the Krakens of the world are going to buy the big time. They're going to build up the other characters, buy the resources they need to do so. And that's fine. But a large majority of the player base is going to have small to baby sized infestations. They may not need to use their Knowhere there. For those players, it is only fair that the Knowhere team works against at least full gamma. You know, you throw Apocalypse in, it's a different story, but at least they should work against full gamma as advertised, as you got us advertising it as you yourself advertised. It was the Apex War team. I think these changes need to be made. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Does this surprise you? Have you been using your Knowhere against gamma? Have you been getting wins? Have you been getting crushed? What has been your experience? Let me know in the comment section below. And as always, have a great day, and I'll see you later. Bye.
That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.